Great Nick Jeep saying, doesn't Islamic Republic make 2-year military service mandatory? If so, beyond vetting, how much more training would be needed to arm the resistance? My understanding, well, I mean, here's the thing. I have my military service card here with me somewhere. Um, I didn't serve in the military for a single day, and I still have a 2-year military service card because my parents paid for it. Where is it? Here, this is my military service card. So basically, according to this, I served in the military for 2 years, but I didn't go for a single day. I didn't even see inside a military base. Oh, my understanding is that the training is pathetic, and you don't learn much. But I don't know. I might be wrong. I did get some training on how to in school on how to open, to take apart a Kalashnikov and AK-47 and put it back together again. Um, I was so excited that day. I thought they're gonna let us shoot them, but they didn't. So that was the most disappointing day. One of the most disappointing days. But nope. I don't think the training. I don't think the training that you get at military service is anything significant. I could double check. I mean, I'm not a good source because I didn't go. But I'll see some people. I see some people have a two in the chat, so maybe they know more. Let's ask them.
Jeffrey?
So the training is not ubiquitous between the Artesh, the IRGC, and or Besiege and other shitty shit bags. The Artesh gets very limited training traditionally, 8 weeks. That's it, and that's like less than basic training when I went. Just the basic training part of it, infantry training that I had when I was in the army, right? Basic and AIT was like total, I think 13 weeks. That's nothing. And the Artesh is notoriously under-equipped, supplied. Much of that is because of the entomology of the Artesh was very much created, if I remember correctly, by the Shah and the Mullah occupiers when they after the tragedy of 79, disenabled the Artesh because they were worried about the Artesh having a counter coup. That's why they created the IRGC and all those other, Besiege and all the rest of them. So the training is not ubiquitous amongst all the different military assets, military assets in Iran. I will definitely still say the Artesh is a military asset just because of its historical entomology, right? It's created as such by the Shah. I mean, the IRGC gets far more supplies. So, like having the Artesh be a good force for counterinsurgency is probably not a good idea, right? Because they don't get very much training. And even then, that training is a perishable skill. Like the DoD actually has like timetables of how long it takes for the average soldier to lose their skill set. They don't use it. They can do things like secure very particularly important civil infrastructure after the remnants is eliminated, to try and to harden those facilities against Besiege and IRGC execution elements that are remnants that might do like a long-term guerrilla insurgency kind of campaign or something. Sure. I mean, as far as like being able to go through town by town and hunt down and shoot those guys dead, probably not a good idea. That's why I keep pushing for the training of 20,000 lawful unconventional combatants, and the training is so extensive because then after that, they will swarm through Iran like sharks amongst prey, hunting down and killing IRGC and besieged remnants like you wouldn't believe. They'll all be dead in 3 to 6 months. Hopefully that helps.
Okay, thank you. Sherry?
I've been saying in America, things are different. We have the Second Amendment. But I've been saying for over 2 decades that our middle school children should be taught and trained on being able to handle a gun, clean it, take it apart, put it together. We don't want them afraid of it, but at the same time, we want them to understand the safety of it. It should be taught in our schools, but it should also be taught by our police departments, you know, not by a bunch of government paid and, you know, government employees. Um, in America, we do have the ability to go ahead. If you go to your local police departments, I'm sure it's not in every community, but I can go there and say, you know, they give it. It's free training on how to use a firearm. If we're going to have the Second Amendment, which I'm very proud of, then we need to make sure that the people of America understand what it's for, why it's for, instead of just it's for hunting. It's not for hunting. It's not about hunting in America. It's about being able to take over tyranny. It's about defending our freedoms. It's about defending our liberties. That's what it's about. I'm not afraid of training children how to use it. And when I say children, I'm not talking 5 or 6. You know, I want it in middle school, but at the same time, I want it done by police. I want them to not only teach them that, but teach them the gun safety. Teach them not only how to take it apart, but also come home and tell your parents, do you have a gun in the house? Is it secure? You know, don't leave your freaking gun in the gosh damn, you know, backseat of your car while you go into Walmart and leave your 2-year-old and 4-year-old sitting in the backseat of the car. These things are important. And I'm all Second Amendment, 100% Second Amendment. And, but I also believe that, you know, we need to make sure that we don't have this propaganda where kids are afraid of it simply because, oh, I don't believe in guns. Well, they're real. You have to believe in them. They are real. And then once they get in high school, maybe you have shooting range. Maybe you teach them, but it has to be done in a irresponsible way. My 2 cents.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. And I also have a 2 for Monkey.
Yes, the problem that we had in 1776 wasn't about hunting. The problems we had in 1812 wasn't about hunting. Like none of the things that caused the Revolutionary War that led to the Constitution, none of it had to do with hunting. Nothing that's written in the Constitution, other than your basically individual rights, have anything to do with hunting. It is about a tyrannical government. Now, if Iran would have had a Second Amendment and an armed population, even after the revolution, when the mullahs went crazy and started killing all the leftists and clamping down on everybody, it would be a very different situation, wouldn't it? I don't think they could have taken power. I think it would have been pretty much impossible for them to take power, right? We are used to this thought that because most of the world don't have this freedom, it means most humans can't handle it. I think this is the system being overstepping. I don't think it's that we have something. I mean, it is special. I wouldn't say it's not special, but it shouldn't be, right? I don't think it should be. I think everyone should be able to own and defend themselves and their property. And I want to highlight something that was said before. I want to remind everyone in the 40s and 50s, you had shooting clubs in school. These kids had they would compete, they would go to contests, they would go on. You'd basically be on track to be an Olympic shooter, right? And there's a lots of pictures in high school of these kids back in the 40s and 50s. I don't know if it got all the way up to the 60s, But I'm absolutely sure that in the 40s and 50s, this was normal. Normal. And I'm going to tell you something else. If you want to add hunting to one of the reasons, yeah, it's also great to be able to hunt and get 200 pounds of meat instead of having to go to the store. I mean, you may have to clean it, but come on, that's savings right there. I mean, let's be real about that too.
Thank you, Monkey. Armin, you're next.
Oh yeah, just wanted to answer the question that the super chat that at the beginning. Oh no, wait, Amy was next. Let's do Amy. I mentioned I go after Amy.
Okay, Amy, oh, sorry. Okay, Amy?
Hi, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I watched a special on Switzerland, and maybe somebody else can speak to this, but I believe that our founding fathers um, took part of their vision for the country that we live in, as they took Switzerland as a model, especially when it came to the Second Amendment. Um, I can't remember what it was, but there are documentaries out there that explain the gun culture in Switzerland, and maybe somebody else has more information on this, but it's so fascinating.
Okay. And Kari also put it too. Kari, go ahead.
I'm not hearing anything.
Uh,
Oh, there
Me?
you go. Yes.
okay.
Yes.
If you go back to, say, the 19th century, I know that gun laws across Europe were generally much more relaxed than they are today. So in many countries in, say, 1900, you could go into a gun store and buy a gun and without much restriction. And then across the 20th century, guns became more and more restricted across Europe.
Okay. Now let's go to Armin.
Oh, there we go. Let me unpin. Okay. Where is it? Oh, sorry, I lost it. Let me just find it one more. Just give me a second. I had this. Oh, here. There we go. So for the question was like, can we rely on the Iranian people because they had mandatory military service? So maybe they're already changed. So I just want to confirm what Amujef was saying. While mandatory military service under the regime in Iran familiarizes male citizens with basic firearm disassembly and marksmanship during a brief 2-month boot camp, the remaining service consists almost entirely of parade drills and manual labor. Wow. Consequently, turning former conscripts into an effective fighting force would require extensive additional training in small unit tactics, urban warfare, and field communications. So basically, what the regime original did is that they turned mandatory military service into slavery. So they give them 2 months of training, 2 months of training, and the whole thing is supposed to be 2 years. And they were like, what about, given that you're forced to be here, what if we use the rest of the 2 years for you to just give us free labor? And basically they make money off of the free labor. So yeah, I mean, the Islamic Republic thought to itself, why would I train my population that probably hates me with how to use guns? That seems like a really, really bad idea. Now, with the excuse of mandatory military service, why don't I instead just make money off of them? That's what they did.
Okay, and one more two from Sherry, and then we move on.
I am not. I know under the Constitution in the United States, we really can't do it. But I would not be afraid of mandatory, as Israel does, you know, um, for mandatory service. I don't care. You don't have to use a firearm, but let's go to boot camp. And maybe we can't make it a law that you go to boot camp, but maybe we can make it an incentive, such as, you know, you get a tax break for 3 years or whatever the case may be. But, you know, I'm frustrated. I'm pissed off. I'm more than pissed off because the American people are just left out to hang and not understand anything about the Second Amendment in any way, shape, or form. Maybe, Armin, you would be interested in letting us have an actual chat where maybe Jeff Amooj or someone else can, you know, talk about the Second Amendment, why it exists, why it's important, so we can spread that news.
My name is Armin Navabi. I'm an Iranian political analyst with decades of experience fighting the Islamic regime inside and outside of Iran. Make sure you follow me for more, and also make sure you join our discussion group. I'm there almost every single day. Come talk to me there and the rest of the people there in our group calls. It's a great place to meet and talk to people who like talking about politics. The link is in the description and or in the bio. You could also get there by scanning the QR code on the screen. See you there.